We are live.
Yay.
Welcome to Getting Real. This is the show where we talk about the real, the raw, the powerful stories behind wealth and investing and transformation. I'm your host, Monique Hom, and today I have a special guest. We are going to be diving into the beautiful intersection between magic, money, and the feminine. And our guest today, Elizabeth Purvis, is the best person I know to talk about this. She is the CEO of Seven Figure Goddess, a master of feminine magic, and one of the most sought after women, most sought after mentors for women who want to scale their business without selling their soul. Her work is rooted in energetic principles, practical strategy, and the mystical arts, including deep work with the Akashic Records. And if you've ever felt a pull towards a next level of abundance and you want to get there in a way that is aligned, that's easeful, full of feminine power, then this is the conversation for you. So excited to have Elizabeth here. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me in that beautiful intro. I just so appreciate you. It's so great. I'm so glad that we're doing this and just been so happy to connect with you over the past few months. We met about a year ago in person, which was so great. And just feels awesome to have this conversation now. So thank you. And thank you everyone for being here.
Yeah. Thank you. We did meet a year ago, and I was just blown away by Elizabeth and just how she shows up and her clarity and her teaching. And I've been stalking her work ever since. And I'm so excited that we're having this conversation.
Yeah,
So, Elizabeth, you have helped thousands of women now scale with soul. Take us back. What was your turning point? How did you go from being spiritual teacher to seven-figure business mentor?
Wow. I love that. Thank you very much. I love that question. Well, it's so funny because I was actually the business mentor before I really put on the spiritual teacher shoes. I mean, before I really embodied that role, although that was the goal at the outset, right? So my background, I won't go into all the details, obviously, but I came to coaching and to online marketing from being an engineer. I have a master's in computer science, and I also wanted to be a fiction writer. And I initially quit my job to be a fiction writer, but I found all of this and was like, this is what I'm doing instead. And I found my way to coaching because I got a real clear directive from the goddess who I spend a lot of time talking to. She was like, you're going to be part of the movement to bring magic to the mainstream. And at that point, I was like, all right, so I'm broke. And even though I've been studying your stuff for like 15 years now, I still feel like a beginner and a novice, you know? And she was like, all right, here's the thing. You got to go learn how to do this business mentoring piece. Like you get to get out of your way and really apply yourself to helping others and show your fellow magicians how to create successful business. And so that's kind of where I started. And I was really like kind of honing my chops doing both at the same time. So I was learning the online marketing. I was learning offers and high-end, high ticket stuff, which is what I teach. And at the same time, I was putting together like all of my, metaphysical kind of bodies of work, taking what I had studied with, in Western esotericism and like all the traditions I had worked in there, and really applying them in this context. So I built a seven-figure business helping new and emerging entrepreneurs get to their first six figures or whatever. And I had the energetics piece and everything. And then I hit a wall. I was like, I'm ready to teach. I'm ready to be the manifesting teacher. Here I go. I'm going to be the manifesting teacher. Here I go.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I found myself actually, I loved what I was teaching, but I was also like really kind of bored out of my mind because I wasn't teaching the business stuff anymore. But I had to do it because I've always felt that spiritual work, and this is just me, I'm speaking for myself, we want to apply it to something. Like, I'm like, if I'm going to be teaching manifesting and magic and all these things, like I want to apply it to helping people really make their lives better. And business is how I do that. So, you know, it was really like, okay, what does that look like?
Yeah.
So I had already, so the turning point was like, I'd already shut down like 7-figure income streams, and I was starting to build the manifesting teaching. And when I had this realization, like, wait, no, you're not going to be Gabby Bernstein right now. Like, you're not going to do all that.
Yeah.
And I had a whole new, and along those lines, or at that time, I was also feeling really called to do the scaling stuff differently, to do the filling of programs differently, to get out of what I call kind of the launch crazy. And this is a little bit of a, you know, a different, you know, part of this conversation, part of this topic, right? But I was teaching all of my magicians how to launch and how to like do webinars and da 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 da. And I wanted to, both for myself and for them, learn a different piece on the strategy side, you know? So I downloaded all of that. I really started teaching high ticket in a new way. I started teaching, you know, 50K and 100K offers. And I started to teach how to fill your high ticket programs without webinars, launches, or sales calls. And it was a real turning point for me, because I'm like, if I want to do my metaphysical teachings, I've got to clear out some of all this like busy work I'm doing. And that's what I want from my people too. So it was very, very much like okay, old way, new way, you know, and, and doing that new way, I was back to 7 figures in sales within like 15 months or something. So, but that was really the turning point on kind of both the fronts. You know, it's like, it's time to do this in a different way and really bring both of these forward. Hopefully that answers the question.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I had some questions that I prepared, and it's like, oh my God, there's so many other questions that have come from that. Okay. So, and I think this next question I have will probably
Clarify.
come from what we just talked about too, because I know you use a core manifesting process. So talk about what it is and how women can use this to manifest more wealth, more impact in business and otherwise. What is this core manifesting process? And like, I'd love specifics on how you use it. How do you talk to the goddess? How do you, you know, like, where did those downloads come from? Like,
yeah.
feel it.
Thank you. Yeah. So the talking to the goddess stuff is something I've always done. And I mean, we could have a whole, like, as I say, you know, 4-sider conversation about, but I've always had a really deep connection with spirit. And the core manifesting process is kind of it's one of the things that's at the root of our metaphysical teachings, right? And I really do, as much as I can in our programs, do both sides. And then I've got, you know, bodies of work on both sides.
So what do you mean by both sides?
By the spiritual side, the metaphysics side, and the business coaching side. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Strategy and spiritual stuff. So when we're in, regardless of what our business is, because I know you work with a lot of amazing real estate investors. Mm-hmm. One of our things, just as humans and as business owners, that we get to really lean into is our power to create and how exactly we're creating our reality. And I've always been fascinated by that. How is it that we manifest the outcomes in our life? How is it that we can manifest like consistently? And so the core manifesting process was born because some of my clients came to me and said, look, you've been teaching the manifesting stuff. Like, great. Can you show us, like, actually break down the process of actually manifesting, so we see what's going on under the hood and can really create consistent outcomes? And I was like, sure. So I'm like, you know, an engineer. So I'm like, well, I'm going to reverse engineer this and actually come up with a framework or a process for manifesting a big goal or manifesting something in your life. And that's what the core manifesting process is. And it very much gets down to, number one, choosing what it is that you want, right? Actually, I call it the magic question. What is it that what's the outcome you want to create? And we have to be really clear if we want to manifest consistent outcomes, right? And then really making a decision about that. If we want to manifest consistently, it does require decision, right? It
Yeah.
requires making it a must, not like oh, this might be nice. And the cool thing is like, by doing that, you're going to learn so much about what you really want. So you're going to, you're going to bob and weave until you find the actual thing. And then you're like, okay, I'm putting my stake in the ground. And then we have to let go of what we need to let go of and step into what we need to step into in order to actually start to attract the opportunities and the awarenesses and the way to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I know probably a lot of people in your audience have some experience with this. When we talk about vibration and frequency, when we emit a certain vibration or we're putting that into the field can't help but give us back who we're being and what we're vibrating, right?
Good or bad. Yeah.
Good or bad. And how that happens is on the level of perception. It happens in terms of like what shows up in your life. So if we've made a decision around what we want, and then we let go of what's not in alignment with that and step in with what is, that actually starts to take the blinders off, and you can start to see the way that is already here to call it into your life. And then from there, you get to take the aligned actions that are being asked to actually move it into your reality. And then in the core manifesting process, our kind of a last step is to set up your environment so that you're really being held by your environment rather than, and you're kind of, because I'm always like, how do I just get this to just happen? How do I set it up so that it just happens, right? Regardless, because I'm definitely, I use everything that I teach, right? And I kind of made it for myself first. And I get all up in my resistance. I get all up in my wobble. I get all up in my like stuff. And I was like, so the last step, the core manifesting process, is this idea of like, how do I make this inevitable? What do I need to set up? Like, now that I'm clear and I'm embodying, and there's going to be some popping in and popping out, how do I set this up so that I can't stop the train? That's kind of my thought. Right.
And what are some of the things that would do that? So I'm imagining it's who you're, like the people that you put into your environment.
100%. People you put into your environment. Some of it's like the basics, right? The people that are in your environment. What are the inputs that you're inputting, right? What are the things that you're taking in? For me, it's very much a lot of support. Like my first $1 million year, I definitely used this principle. I was like, and I had been at a $750,000 plateau for like 3 or 4 years running. And I'm like, this is like, I'm so over it. But I saw how my brain was just creating it over and over again. And so I was like, all right, who are the people that I need to have in place? And what are the mechanisms I have to decide in advance so that even if I go unconscious, even if I fuzz out, even if like, because this is what happens when we manifest. Like your neocortex is like, give it to me. But your hind brain, your lizard brain is like, no, I want to stay the same. And so you start to create this.
Change is great.
Yeah. So what happens is, and this is like, I just have so much respect for like human, the human animal, right? Is that your brain will actually unconsciously create situations to keep you in the same spot. And it will blow stuff up. And I'm like, regardless if that happens, like, what do I have to set up so that it doesn't matter? And so I had like 3 coaches that year, one for subconscious stuff, one for business stuff, one for really like, mindset, like here's the truth with a capital T, you know? And I'm also a big fan. Some of this you can hear is really, really practical, but we're working with metaphysical principles. We're working with the principles of energy, and we're working with them with our human self. And I talk about this a lot in our manifesting teachings of how we want to work with both sides. We need to work with our spiritual self, and then your body and your nervous system, which is just going to do what it does. So I had, a whole support team. And then I also had I'm a big fan of like, what's your plan in advance? Like when you hit the resistance point, or when stuff blows up, or because we've done this a bunch of times, like we recreate these things. All right, what's the strategy And at that time, my daughter was really little. And the big thing that would happen for me is like, I would end up in time poverty, right? Like there would be some thing and she would like be home and like everything would be distracting. And like, that was kind of like, so I had to set up like, all right, how am I going to work with that in advance? And what am I going to put in place so that when it happens, not if, but when, I'll be able to sail through it. Does that make sense? I know this is like really heady, but like behind it all is all the energetic pieces. It's like, but I know that my brain's going to do this. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to just prepare.
I love that. So the 4 steps I got were choosing what you want. So that's always like having that clear outcome.
Yeah.
Letting go of what you need to let go and stepping into what you need to step into. So being who you need to be. Taking aligned action and then setting up your environment so it holds you and it holds that.
Very close. It's actually, there's 7 steps. They were all in there, but I'll go through them. So the first one is magic question. What do you want to create? Number 2 is decision. Like, are you choosing this? Choose it. Very simple.
Okay.
Third step is let go. So let go of the stuff. Fourth step is to step into who you need to be, which is the real one, both energetically and in the actual practical actions. And again, when we have that done, that's when the blinders start to come off and we can do the 5th step, which is to receive the way, right? Because the way already exists. Everything we want is already here, right? So the way exists. The challenge is you just can't see it. So step 5 is you're going to receive the way and then take aligned action and then make it inevitable is the 7th step. So you had all of them there, but that's the framework. And I really, I created this or downloaded it, almost 14 years ago now. And, little engineering me is like, this is actually how it works.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
So how does that, like we're talking about this manifestation process. So how do you help women to turn this energetic work into tangible results, into money in the bank?
Money in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I care about. The money in the bank. I care about a lot of things. We like impact too, but yeah.
I like the money in the bank. That's great.
I love the money in the bank. Yeah. It's, so what we like to do, right, is we're creating our reality all the time. So first of all, I'm very, very big on goals. I know in certain circles, goals are not, I've noticed a lot of peeps have a lot of challenges with goals, and I understand that. But if we want to create consistent results, if we want to actually create the money in the bank, we have to be very clear on what it is we're choosing and make that a priority and have it that direction to go in. So in all of our programs, we're very clear about that, right? And then there's the actual process of working with the energetics, going through the core manifesting process as I shared, as well as really understanding universal law and aligning with truth, like all of the spiritual pieces. And we just apply all of that to creating those outcomes in the business realm, right? So a good example of this. So the core manifesting process is like the core manifesting framework. And then I have another framework called the standards, which is really there to help you snap into the energetics of a 7-figure business owner. Like, who is it that you, like the answer to the question, who do you need to be? Again, my engineering mind was like, well, what does that mean exactly? Like, someone actually break down for me, like what that means.
Yeah.
And so I created a framework around it. And it's, it's in my book, and 7-Figure Goddess. The whole system is in my book. But it's basically, what are the different energies and the different ways of being that we need to embody in order to, create these big earning outcomes, right? So confidence and understanding abundance and expectation, like there's actually 10 energies, right? And then we turn them on, we really just adapt I have a little consciousness hack. It just is, of course. right? Of course there's abundance, because of course I'm not going to fight that. It's just the truth, you know?
Yes.
But we have our, our clients really work with these as they're doing the business pieces. And an example of this that's just like, still blows me away to this day is our client, Andrea. She has this awesome business called, she's the cash flow CEO. She's done a lot more. But when she joined us, she was at like $250,000 or something, or, I can't remember the exact number, but it was in that neighborhood. And she's like, all right, so I need to create X amount of passive income by Y time, and I need to increase my cash flow by Z.
Mhm.
And I want to buy businesses. Like, she wanted to, like, her jam. She's like, I know the path for creating wealth for me is going to be about acquisition. And this was all like years ago. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. But she came into our world. And of course, she had to also, and she was working, it wasn't just with me. I always like to acknowledge, right? Anyone who's successful, really successful, there's so many people along the way that are helping them. But a big part of what she did in our world, is she really applied these metaphysical pieces to what she was doing in the business realm, right? And both the core manifesting process and the standards were very, very important. And she was just like, all right, confidence standard, expectation standard. She would go into meetings and things with her team. Like, she would use the principles to really help her as she was actually showing up and doing the work. And first year, she doubled her income to 500. Next year, it was 1.5. Year after that, it was 3. And I know she has gone beyond that now. And her question was, what does it take to double every year? I just love that question. What does it take to double every year? Well, it takes being the one who. And she was so committed to that, so committed to using the energetics pieces because now she does buy businesses, and she runs big. I mean, her, they're fractional CFOs. So she's got a team of people. It's not, she's got like a bunch of energetics to manage, and she's a mom and stuff. So that's the kind of thing that I just love to help people do, is use the energetics to create really big outcomes. I do. I love the big score, as my husband says. I do. I love the big score.
Well, for me, it's like the keys, the doors.
Yeah, exactly. I love manifesting big things. And so that's an example of, like, someone who really took the metaphysics and really ran with it. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you about something that I know that you're really big into and teaching right now, which is Akashic Records. For those who are new to this, what are the Akashic Records, and how can tapping into them guide powerful decisions in business or investing?
Sure. Okay. So yes, I'm returning to the Akashic Records. They're a big part of my magical toolkit. And they are, so the Akashic Records is an energetic field. It's up there. Extension from source, right? It's a field of source consciousness that is essentially the record of your soul. It is the record of your soul. So when we extend from source as a big soul and then come down here and incarnate in Earth School, as we like to call it, there is a record kept in the non-physical realms of every thought, word, deed, action, everything you've ever done or said or thought or did since your initial incarnation from source, like since you first decided, as a soul, like from the first time you came down here on the planet, which is pretty mind-boggling in and of itself. And the records are kept, you could say. I'm trying to think of the right word for it. And we are assigned at soul birth, right? A set of very, very highest beings of the purest and highest light, right? Called your record keepers, who help you understand and read and catalog your records, or rather they're doing the cataloging, they're helping you. So your records contain this blueprint, right? It contains your soul blueprint, your story, all the information about why you came down here, your purpose in this lifetime and other lifetimes, the lessons from other lifetimes, everything about you as a soul is in the records. So as you might imagine, that's pretty awesome to have access to.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty valuable. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty valuable because you get all this information about you and your challenges and your gifts and how to create things, right? And not only that, to me, one of the biggest pieces about the records is the record keepers too, because you have this relationship with these beings who are there to help you live your purpose, and they're there to guide you on your soul's journey, and they want nothing but the best for you, you know? So with the Akashic records, we teach our leaders how to read the records. And I love, because there's all kinds of things you can do. You can heal past life stuff, you can heal trauma stuff, you can manifest, like there's all these different applications. And they're very much a co-creative modality. They're, as I like to say, like they're about creating your reality, right? But one of my favorite applications and what I use them for all the time is just getting out of any confusion or making decisions, right? Yeah. It's like so often we want to know, especially when we're creating our businesses, if it's real estate or otherwise, it's like, is this an aligned choice for me? Is this going to take me closer to my purpose or further away? What are the energetics underneath, right? I mean, I am not a real estate investor yet, right? But I know, I'm going to hang out with you. But it's like, if I were just like what I know about real estate investing, I would not want to do that. Like, I mean, well, of course, there's all kinds of different paths. Don't want to imply that everyone has to read their records. It's totally your choice. Yeah. But like, I would be like, okay, so what's the deal with this house? Okay, so what's the deal with these folks? Okay, and you can only read your record. So it's not like you're doing like psychic spying or anything. Right. Vis-a-vis like your path and what's best for you and how you're interacting with the beings that you are. They'll tell you, and you get answers.
And can you read the record? Like, is there a record about your business, or is it just like you with your, or your business as it relates to you?
That's a really good question. I'm so like, I have like infinite knowledge. I feel like there's infinite knowledge just reading your own record, but yeah, your business has records too. So you could, like go read the records of your business. I know people that do that, but I always am like, okay, record keepers, this is, my, the outcome I want to create is XYZ, and I want to feel PDQ, right? Yeah. And like ask, what is it that I need to know? What's the most aligned, decision out of these three options or whatever? And I use it for so many things. I use it to create programs. I use it to, again, like just check out situations and hires and people and stuff. And they're going to give you answers that are about you, not about, not about poking your, not about being nosy, but like, okay, this person's agenda and this thing is like, here's what it is. Right. And I find that the more I am connected to the records and really listen to that advice, just the easier things are, it's like, okay, that's the aligned choice. And sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes I'm like, no, like, for example, I told you, I thought I was going to be Gabby Bernstein, but I read the record. They were like, not yet, babe. No, that's not what's happening. You need to be like later perhaps, but like, this is what your jam is, to lead the leaders. And I was like, no, but they were right. It was a much more, I tried to do the other thing, and it was like pushing a boulder up a hill at that time, Yeah. So thank you for asking, because I love them. They're a fantastic tool.
Oh, good. I could talk to you forever, but we are getting towards the end of the show. So before we go into our final, our like famed end of show Trinity, our brag of gratitude,
I love, by the way. Yeah.
How can people who want to know more about you, want to connect with you, what's the best way for people to do that?
Yeah, so awesome. So best way, I'm not hard to find. I'll just say that. So if you go to my website, sevenfiguregoddess.com, It needs to be updated. Websites always need to be updated, but it's more or less like it's also sound. Like what's on there is, what's in the package, basically. So that's a great way. And then the best entry point into my world is the book, Seven Figure Goddess. That's the name of the book. How to Making the Leap from 6 to 7 figures in 2 years or less. And it's free. It is on Amazon. So if you want like a hard copy, you can get a hard copy on Amazon, but you can go to Seven Figure Goddess book and you can download it and read it. It gives the framework of the standards, which has been very, very, very useful to people to really be able to take action even when they're wobbling or feeling inner friction, and really like, how do you step into being the one who is really what that book is about. Yeah.
That's awesome. So got it.
Yeah.
The price is for sure right.
Yeah. Yes. It is really my gift. It's like, it's a set of teachings that I just really want all leaders to have,
Beautiful. Okay. Now it's time for our Trinity and your brag. What's one thing you are celebrating right now? What's your brag?
What is the one thing I am celebrating right now? Well, this is interesting, and I haven't spoken about this much at all. So we are shifting from being totally focused on high ticket in our business to creating lower ticket offers that can serve a lot more people and create a whole different way of like getting our work into the world. And it's something I've resisted a little bit, not going to front. But it's going really, really well. Like I celebrate like the different things that we've done. Like we're about to create and turn on our first like kind of low ticket funnel to really get stuff out. I know it's kind of like kind of nerdy, but I'm really proud of me, because it really required me to like think outside of the box of how I do things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have that as a brag.
Well bragged. And what's one thing you're grateful for?
I am always super grateful for my family. So I've had amazing family time with my husband and my daughter. And I'm just so, so grateful for them. I mean, do you have one kiddo, or do you have more than one? I can't remember. You got 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I was taking her somewhere yesterday, and she's 12. She just turned 12. And like 12 doesn't feel that long ago to me. And I was just kind of looking at her out of the corner of my eye, right? And we're just like standing in like a hallway going where we're going. I was like, I just love that kid. That kid is just friggin' amazing. I just love her, And yeah, I'm just really grateful every day for them. Like relationship stuff is my edge, and I had to overcome a lot of stuff to kind of have the family life that I have now. And so I'm just so grateful every day for it,
Love that. So beautiful. And last but not least, what's one bold desire you're holding right now?
Yeah. So this goes back to the celebration, right? So one of the things we're really working on is sales every day. Like making sales every day, every single day, not a single day. Because when you're selling high ticket, there's not sales every day, right? But that's got to change. Not usually. Well, it's like you got to assert like high ticket level of service.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to have 165 like high ticket. Yeah.
But I know you can appreciate this, right? Because it's like it hits the same high notes as the income that you make from, real estate. It's like I want the money just coming in. I want the sales just coming in. And that's how it's going to be, and the community, I just want the community growing, I've very much been in like, my community has been relatively small, even though I've been in this industry. Well, I mean, I've touched a lot of people over the years, but people come in and out, and there's pivots and stuff, but it's really just time to like get all this out to a lot more people. And I want to do that in a way that is helping people at every, level and stage. So that's the desire, is sales every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, so shall your desire be, or so much better than you can imagine, under grace and in perfect ways.
Thank you. I will receive that. Yeah, and I'm feeling it too. Thank you.
Elizabeth, thank you so, so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, your magic, your powerful presence. You truly embody what it is that you teach. That's magic, abundance and feminine way. So I'm very excited that you're here. Y'all, again, if you are feeling called to go deeper, definitely check out Elizabeth's work at sevenfiguregoddess.com, get the book at sevenfiguregoddessbook.com, and explore her powerful teachings. And definitely, if you don't want to miss incredible conversations like this, make sure that you subscribe to this show so that you can get more powerful Getting Real conversations. Bye-bye.
Great blessings.